showing you how to create some events on the walk. Before I do that, though, I just want to talk about how all of these walks are structured. They each have three sections, basically. This walk overview that happens before the walk, that gives users some context of what the walk's about. Events that happen on the walk. For the planets, this would be the 8 planets, and a final set of screens. So I just want to show you what the walk overview would look like, just so there's some context of what I'm talking about here. This is essentially just a place where you can tell the user what to expect on the walks, what kind of objects they'll encounter or events they'll see. It's also a good space to tell people about things like long gaps on the walk or events that are very, very close together. So for instance, here, the distance between the outer planets is in the 1 kilometer walk going to be like 400 meters, 500 meters. So it's a good place to kind of mention that. And actually, I'll just step through and start the walk. So now in the event section, which is what the user sees, of course, when they're actually walking, there's 2 events that are mandatory, this initial event and this stop walking event. And these events, you can modify them, but you can't delete them. And they get their values from this walk setup section where we set the bounds of the walk. And this initial event is, in the case of the planets, it's the sun. In Life on Earth, I used the solar nebula kind of floating in space. This is an event that you kind of use to set the scene, or it's like a starting point in the walk. It's what the user will kind of read before they start walking. And then the last event, which is the other mandatory event, is usually a stop walking event, especially if you have a set of final screens afterwards. And again, you can change that and change the title, and we'll go through how to change all of this stuff in just a second. The last section of the walk is a set of final screens. These are optional as well. I use them here to talk about the regions of space beyond Neptune in the solar system walk. And after that, the walk effectively ends. So you want to use this section to make whatever dramatic ending you want to write for the walk. Okay, so those are the 3 main sections: the walk overview, the events, and the final screens. I'm going to skip over how to make the overview and final screens for now, because that's just a little complicated or a little bit more involved, and just show you how to make a few events on your walk. Okay, so now with all that out of the way, we can start making some events. So I'm going to start here with this initial event. And like I said, this is the starting event. This is the event that users see before they start walking. And so for me, that event is going to be the sun. So I'm going to change the title to the sun. The value here, normally I would be able to change this, and I'd be putting in however many kilometers the planet is from the starting value from the sun. But because this is the starting value, and you can only change it in the walk setup section, I can't and don't want to change this anyway. Moving down to this displayed value field, the displayed value is essentially there to help you, or I guess to give you a bit more flexibility as to what's displayed for the user here above the title. It's optional. If you don't put anything there, it'll just default to what you see here, 0 kilometers in this case. But there's a couple of reasons why you might want to change this. One is to just make it look a little nicer or make it be a bit more descriptive. So in my case, that would be the reason. If I were to say starting point, then that text starting point would appear here, which is a bit cleaner. Another reason would be if you had ranges. So in a historical walk, if you had a range from the year 1650 to 1800, you could do that. Or in a geological walk, you could say 550, 280 million years ago, if you wanted to specify a period. Anyway, in my case, I'm just going to change this back to starting point, because I kind of like that. Description. Description is, of course, the short description that the user will see as they're walking. And so, again, I have one that I can copy and paste in here for the sun. Okay, so now we can finish editing this event by just adding an image the same way that we did for the walk image, and a caption. And so I will go ahead and do that. In fact, now I'll just use the upload file dialog here. So this will upload the image of the sun that I like. And again, I have the option to add all of the credits here and add a description, but I'm just going to not do that and just say upload this file and see it there. And then I can add a caption. And again, I've got one ready that I can just kind of like paste in there. So I'll do that. And there we go. So now actually you see here my combined character count is over 258. So I will just cut it back. Massive eruption of plasma. So now I can see I'm under the character limit. I've got my image, my description, and everything else here. So now if I go back to my app, this event, and go back to press update, this event should show up, hopefully, without issue. And there it is. So I got my son here, got the stop walking event here, and so there you go.